Hey, it is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates here in Knoxville, and it is time for our monthly market update. We are looking at all the data through the end of September to see where we are with the housing market here in Knoxville and East Tennessee. So let's jump in and take a look. All right, starting with East Tennessee, we are looking at September of 2024 and comparing it to 1 year earlier. Home sales are down 4.2% compared to a year ago. Pending sales are up 8.7%. The inventory of homes is up 37.6%. New listings are up 5.7%. The median sales price in all of East Tennessee is up 8.82% compared to a year ago and coming in at $370,000, with the average sold price per square foot coming in at $214 per square foot. The absorption rate is up to 3.8 months worth of inventory, just up a little bit from last month where it was 3.74 months worth of inventory. So as we see the absorption rate increase, that means there's a little less demand in the market. So we're just getting up under 4 months worth of inventory, something that we're going to want to keep an eye on. We're going to talk more about how inventory gives us a view as to what is happening with home prices in the future. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's jump over and take a quick peek at the data numbers. So when we look at these graphics, this is East Tennessee. We can see ever since March and April, inventory has been increasing. New listings have been coming on the market and/or listings have been remaining on the market longer, thus having the inventory rise. And that has been happening ever since March, April, and has just continued on an upward trend. So you can see that happening there. Here you can see that sales were rising and new listings were rising, but then over the last few months, which is not uncommon for this time of year, those are starting to taper off. So as those taper off, we're seeing inventory continue to rise. We can see down here in the absorption rate, that has definitely been rising pretty quickly since February. Following this trend up here with the number of listings, the absorption rate has continued to rise as well. And as we said before, as absorption rate rises in months, that means demand is weakening and supply is increasing. We can see listing prices have pretty much held steady ever since April. Same with new median list prices. Prices are pretty much flat right now. Not a whole lot going on with prices. They aren't going down. They aren't shooting up, but they're pretty level in East Tennessee. When we look at the sold to list price ratio, this is the ratio that tells us are people getting homes for less than list price, and that is happening. You can see as this number has gone down since May, more and more negotiation is happening on homes in East Tennessee. Homes are selling for less and less of their list price. Okay, let's jump over and take a look at Knoxville. All right, Knoxville, we're looking September again of this year compared to September of last year. Home sales are down 2.1%. Pending sales are up 0.9%, so pretty flat compared to a year ago. The inventory of homes is up 41.3%, so still considerably more inventory on the market compared to last year. New listings down 2.1%, and the median sales price as compared to a year ago is up in Knoxville 12.25% and coming in at $410,000. With the average sold price per square foot in Knoxville, that's everything with a Knoxville, Tennessee address, coming in at $222 per square foot for the average sold price per square foot. The absorption rate in Knoxville is down to 2.13 months worth of inventory. Last month we were at 2.16 months. So that is saying that demand is actually picking up, or it picked up in September because the amount of inventory as compared to demand went down. So that is good news for sellers in Knoxville, not as good of news for buyers, because that means there's more demand, maybe a little bit more competition out there. And only 2 months worth of inventory is still considerably low historically. So it definitely has us still in a seller's market in Knoxville. Let's jump over and take a look at the data for Knoxville and see what those graphs show us. Okay, so again, we can see the same trend in Knoxville that we saw in all of East Tennessee. From April on, number of listings has been increasing and leveled off actually over the last month, but definitely on the rise. We can see the number of new listings falling. We can see the number of sold and pending listings falling over the last few months, and that is definitely affecting the absorption rate. We can see that we went in April. In April, we were at 1.56 months worth of inventory, and now we jumped up through August to 2.16, still considerably lower than normal. We want to keep an eye on how much inventory is coming on the market and how quickly it's coming on the market, because that could affect pricing down the line, but still a significantly low amount of inventory. So that is going to keep prices pretty stable. And we've seen that here when we look over at prices. We haven't seen prices jump higher. We haven't seen prices dive lower. We've seen them stay pretty stable. From the sold to list price ratio, there is a little bit more negotiation happening in Knoxville as well. You could see there wasn't much happening back in May. Sellers were being able to get more of their list price in May. But since then, we have seen more negotiation happening, but that is pretty typical for this time of year as well. Okay, let's jump over and take a look at what is happening county by county in East Tennessee and the areas that we serve. Okay, looking at the counties. In Roane County, available inventory is up 50.8% compared to a year ago. Pending sales are up 7.4%, and the median sales price in Roane County is up 2.36% and coming in at $325,000. With the median sold price per square foot in Roane County coming in at $174 per square foot in September. In Knox County, the available inventory is up 42.8%. Pending sales were up 1.7% compared to a year ago, and the median sales price in Knox County was up 11.40% and coming in at $404,950. With a median sold price per square foot of $221 per square foot. In Anderson County, available inventory was up 37%. Pending sales were up 30.6%, and the median sales price in Anderson County was up 12.18% compared to a year ago, and coming in at $336,250. With the median sold price per square foot in Anderson County coming in at $194 per square foot. In Loudoun County, available inventory was up 54.4% compared to a year ago. Pending sales were up 12.9%, and the median sales price in Loudoun County was up 9.75% and came in at $545,950. With the median sold price per square foot in Loudoun County coming in at $255 per square foot. In Sevier County, available inventory was up 30.30% in September, and the pending sales were down 31.55% compared to a year ago, so significantly fewer sales in Sevier County. The median sales price in Sevier County was up 17.58% compared to a year ago and came in at $489,000 with a median sold price per square foot of $291 per square foot. In Blount County, the available inventory was up 38.6%. Pending sales were up 45.2%. And the median sales price in Blount County was up 4% and came in at $390,000 in September, with the median sold price per square foot in Blount County coming in at $220 per square foot. Okay, so there is some information that gives you an idea of what is happening in East Tennessee, what is happening in Knoxville, and what is happening in the surrounding counties. we want to talk a little bit about what is happening as far as pricing and how can we watch what is happening in the market to give us clues as to what is going to be happening with pricing in Knoxville and East Tennessee and anywhere in the United States. So the best way to predict home prices and home price changes this year is to look at how many homes are for sale now compared to before the pandemic in 2019. So in areas where the number of homes for sale has gone back to normal or 2019 levels, home prices have usually stopped rising or even started falling since their peak in 2022. But in places where there's still fewer homes for sale than before the pandemic, prices have stayed stronger. So you can see that correlation in these two maps. Out of the 250 big city areas, 57 now have more homes for sale than in 2019. In 41 of these areas, home prices have dropped at least a little since 2022. Out of 250 big city areas, 57 now have more homes for sale than in 2019. And in 41 of these 57 areas, home prices have dropped at least a little since 2022. So why does this matter? Think of it like supply and demand. If homes are selling quickly and there aren't many for sale, prices usually go up. This happened during the pandemic housing boom from 2020 to 2022. Now, if homes aren't selling as fast and there's more available, prices might slow down or even fall. This has happened in some areas since 2022. Looking at how many homes are for sale compared to 2019 gives us a good idea of where prices might be heading. It's not perfect, but it's been working very well and should continue to be useful in 2025. There was an old rule in real estate that says if there are less than 6 months worth of homes for sale, it's a seller's market and prices tend to rise. If there's more than 6 months worth, it's a buyer's market and prices might fall. But this rule doesn't always work anymore. Let's look at Austin, Texas, for example. In June of 2022, Austin had only 2 months worth of homes for sale, but prices started falling. By August of 2024, there were 4.8 months worth of homes for sale, and even though this is still less than 6 months, prices in Austin have dropped by 19.8% since 2022. What mattered more was how quickly the number of homes for sale changed. In Austin, it went from very few homes, 0.4 months worth of inventory in February of 22, to a lot more, 2.1 months worth by June of 2022. This sudden increase was a better sign that prices might fall. That's why we now look at how many homes are for sale compared to 2019 instead of just using the 6-month rule. We do this every month for different counties and areas in and around East Tennessee. This new way of looking at things might not work forever, but it should still be useful for predicting home prices in 2025. So where are we in Knoxville compared to 2019? Let's go and take a look. So if we look at this map and we go to the Knoxville area, right here, we can land on Knoxville. So the shift between September of 2019 and September of 2024, we are still 15.4% below where inventory was in 2019. So that would tell us, from what we were just talking about, that our prices will be stable to slightly rising in Knoxville. Now, if you look at some other areas around here, like Sevierville, for example, if we look right here, next door in Sevierville, their inventory is up 134.5%, higher than what it was in 2019. So they have 134.5% more inventory now than they had pre-pandemic. So what would that tell us about what will happen with pricing? We would think that it would be falling. Let's take a look and see if that's true. When we go to this map, it shows us the change in metro level home prices since each metro's respective peak in 2022. So, knowing what we know about Knoxville, that it's still 15.4% below where it was in 2019 as far as inventory, what is going on with prices compared to the peak in 2022? Let's take a look. So, since 2022, prices are up 12.6% in Knoxville. So, prices are continuing to increase since the peak of 2022. Now, when we go next door to Sevierville, what have prices done? Since the peak in 2022 in Sevierville, prices are down 7.2%. So it holds true that if your inventory rises above where it was in 2019, prices may fall. And the opposite holds true if your inventory is below where you were in 2019, prices may hold steady to rise. And we see that here in the example of Knoxville and Sevierville. So how does that play out in different counties? Let's take a look and see where some of the counties are. When we look at Knox County, so this is Knox County here, and this is the change over the last 5 years. And looking at this column here that says 5-year change, that shows us that we are still down 18.51% in Knox County. So that would tell us that prices should be stable to rising in Knox County. How about some of the other counties? Let's say Loudoun County, for example. And if you have a county that you would like me to look up for you, just let me know. I can look at pretty much any county in the United States through this system. So let's find Loudoun County in Tennessee. Okay, here we go. Loudoun County, Tennessee. So in Loudoun County, there's 29.88% more inventory now than there was pre-pandemic. So that would tell us that prices might moderate in Loudoun County. Now, we know in Loudoun County, sometimes we have to look at those things specifically because we have Tellico Village in Loudoun County, and that can skew the numbers for the county in general. So what we would want to do is break that down, look and see what is happening in Tellico Village as opposed to what is happening in the rest of the county. But right now, this is telling us there is more inventory, almost 30% more inventory in Loudoun County now than there was pre-pandemic. So there could be a chance of prices moderating in Loudoun County. What about Anderson County? Let's go find Anderson County and see what's happening there. Anderson County, Tennessee, still 28.63% below where they were in pre-pandemic 2019. So prices will be stable to rising in Anderson County, going by our theory. What about Blount County? Let's take a look and see what's happening there. Blount County, they are just under 6% below where they were in 2019. So they are getting closer to the 2019 levels. So they are probably closer to prices moderating than, say, Knox County might be. So something to keep an eye on. That's why we look at this month to month to see where things are, so we know what might be happening with prices. And then let's look at Roane County. Okay, Roane County, Tennessee, they are still 30.16% below where they were in 2019. So prices should be stable to rising in Roane County. And then again, we saw it earlier, but let's just look at Sevier County one more time and see what's happening there. So Sevier County, 134.48% above where they were in 2019. So that tells us prices will moderate in Sevier County. One other thing I want to talk about is when we're doing these comparisons from last year in September to this year in September, one thing to keep in mind is there's a difference in what was happening with mortgage interest rates a year ago. When we look here, we can see in September of 2023, we were starting to see interest rates rise, right? You can see here from September 1st, basically, it was 7.08%. And by the end of September, it had moved all the way up to 7.5%, right? So it was a rising interest rate market. So that could definitely affect home sales. when we're making comparisons to what was happening now. What happened in September of this year? If we go to the beginning of September in 2024 with mortgage rates, we were at 6.43%. And by the end of September, we were down almost to 6.11%, 6.18%, 6.13%. So it was definitely a much better interest rate environment in 2024. So when we look at the comparisons, we have to keep that in mind. Now, again, as far as interest rates go, things were heading in the right direction. We saw the Fed drop the interest rates by 50 basis points, which was great. Everybody thought, this is great. We're going to see mortgage rates drop. It's going to be great for buyers. And then the next day, some good labor news came out, and look what happened to interest rates. They went from down at 6.2%, and they jumped way up here to about 6.62% in the matter of a couple of days. Nobody was happy about that. So again, anytime we are looking at interest rates and you want to keep an eye and know what's going to happen with interest rates, keep an eye on what is happening with labor. If labor shows positive signs, you can expect interest rates to rise. If labor shows negative signs, like more layoffs, you can expect interest rates to fall. So here we had good labor news, and boom, we saw this shoot up from 6.2% to 6.62%. So that's something that we want to keep an eye on. All right, that's a lot of information. If you have any questions about any of this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions, happy to look at any specific zip codes and let you know what's happening price-wise, where your inventory is compared to 2019, and what that tells us about what prices might do in your area. I don't care if it's in East Tennessee, if it's in Knoxville, or if it's anywhere in the country. If you're watching this video and you have that question, just reach out. I'm happy to give you the information. I hope you're having a great day. If you have any other questions about real estate, just let me know. This is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates here in Knoxville. Have a great day.